All right, we back at it. Homegrown Radio. Chuck Dizzle. We got a soon-to-be legend in the building with us right now. I'm putting it on, yeah. I'm putting it on like that, man. We got Lady L in the building with us right now. Lady L, real quick, for the people that have not heard of you, have not heard the music, I always like to start things off with a quick introduction as far as who you are, where you hail from, and give us 3 words that can describe your music.
Wow. Well, thank you for having me. First of all, it's a pleasure being here. Of
course.
I've listened to a lot of your shows, and I love your energy. So I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, to tell you a little bit, basically, I'm from Sweden. Mm-hmm. My father is Tunisian. That's North African.
Word.
I came here a few years ago to study music.
Okay.
And I am releasing my 3rd album beginning of next year. My single is dropping in October. Nice. And 3 words to describe the music would be tropical, sensual, and R&B.
It's tropical, sensual, and R&B. And it's funny because people may think or feel that R&B is in a different space as it used to. Now, okay, let me back up. I do radio, right? And I was just tweeting about this the other day as far as how radio's in a different space, but it's something that I love so much, and you got to kind of learn how to adapt. Do you feel the same thing about R&B, like the nostalgia of it and how the things that you may have loved about it back in the day is kind of different than what it is now, but how do you maintain it and still do your thing to this day?
Well, I think that, acknowledging the fact that everything changes over time. So even if the same artist that did the records that we listened to, let's say in the 90s, even if they produced a song today, it wouldn't sound the same as it did back then. So it's all about where the artist is in that space in their life. In my case, it took me a little time to find the right team to kind of develop my sound. Mm-hmm. And so where I am with it is I definitely want to be an R&B artist, and I want it to be in the same way that R&B has always felt, like sexy, smooth, groovy, sometimes, like dance tracks or whatnot. But the essence of R&B can still, even in today's R&B music, still be heard. Yeah. And there are a few artists out there that I really like, even though they may not necessarily represent the 90s R&B that I love and kind of stem from, but they have found their own way of making today's modern times come through in the R&B that they're making.
And you see, today it's like everything is fused together. So it's like hip hop and R&B are like together now. It's like this new wave, shout out to Drake, shout out to Chris Brown. Like what they're doing is amazing. But a lot of people feel like, oh, well, on the charts, you may not see a TLC like you do today. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not as balanced in that terms. But I always see that, everything is fused together. Now you got a new genre, but you still get elements of the past and things of that nature. Now you've spent time with a legend. I've heard that you did backgrounds for Stevie Wonder.
Yep, one time. Yep.
How is that experience? One time, or just a lot of people can't even say that. You know what I mean? So how was that experience, kind of seeing how a legend kind of gets down and being a part of that?
It was a dream come true. I mean, it was like, imagine you're rehearsing with like the godfather of music. Right. You know what I mean? You just try to be cool, make sure you hit the right notes.
How intimidating is that though?
It's very intimidating.
You like, that's one of the times where you're like, I just want to make sure my shit don't crack. Please,
right.
Just not
Please,
now.
God, not
now. At this moment. Now you're no stranger to performing as well, as far as a lot of people, man, a taste of soul out here. Seeing, how do you handle that? Is that pressure when you see a lot of people in the crowd and perform for people like that?
Yeah, it's kind of pressure for sure, because you want to give them something. Like they're all there to listen to all these big artists performing all day, and you want to give them something. It's hot, they may be hungry, they're like cramped up, it's crowded. You want to make sure you give them energy, positivity,
they got a reason
motivation.
They got a reason to possibly want to boo too at that moment. They're like,
because they may be pissed off about other things.
Anything. It's not even about your performance. You can do great, but it's like, look, I'm hungry right now. You gotta get up there and do her thing. Now, I do want to ask you about this, because I want to see what your take on it is, because speaking of just being in the front of a crowd, not too many people can handle the national anthem. We've seen people, slay it, do their thing. Aretha Franklin, Whitney Houston, the names go on, right? And then you have some folks like Fergie who kind of like fucked it up. And, no shots to her. But in that situation, in that moment, give somebody some tips, because you've done it before.
Right.
Give some people some tips as to how to approach a national anthem, something where you're in front of a hell of a crowd, and it's a moment where you're singing for the people like that.
In my case, I just really had to dive in and figure out, first of all, what key I was going to sing it in, what key fit for my voice.
Gotcha.
And then secondly, I had to really kind of talk through the song before I even sang it, because the English style of it is fairly old school, whereas I wouldn't normally use very many of those words that are in the song.
Right.
And then secondly, I just felt like this is a very honorable moment. This is about pride and the sacrifice and union of the people. So you have to find a way to body-wise embody that and show and bring in and just draw people into what it is you're singing about. But definitely find your key, practice the words as speaking before you sing it, and think about what you're singing.
Right. I think a lot of people take that moment, and I understand how big of a deal it is, but a lot of people, I feel like, go into it trying to do too much and trying to upscale and do their own renditions and just completely butcher it at times. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is at that point. But for you, so 2008, first project came out.
Correct.
Right? So we all know, well, people that don't know, it's 10,000 hours to master something, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's about 10 years.
Correct.
So we're kind of approaching that. So how have you evolved from 2008 to now with this particular project?
Well, a lot, The first album that I put out, called She, Her, L, was partly self-produced. So at the time I was learning how to produce. I attended Musicians Institute, and I was really diving into like the theoretical part and the practical part of creating music. Since then, I guess I've moved back to what really moved me about music, which is, the nuances, the lyrical content, the healing aspect. There are different frequencies and sounds and vibes that generate better recognition. So when we as kids listen to things, you know how kids always they know the hit before you know the hit. For some reason they just feel it.
Exactly.
Because there's certain frequencies that move like that. So over these 11 years, I've definitely experimented a lot with my sound, and most importantly, I've networked a lot, and I've experimented, and I've found a really good team, and they helped me put together my tropical R&B sound that we're hearing.
I love tropical, by the way. That's very unique in terms of how you describe the music too. So if people can take away anything from this interview, we got Tropical L. Okay, we're gonna say Tropical L is gonna be the nickname. Okay. Now with that too, for you, we do something called the business card track. Right.
Okay.
So on your project,
yes,
which is coming out in, is it October or
the single? The single will come out in October, and then we're dropping one more single after that, and the album will drop in the first quarter of next year.
Now I know traditionally singles are the representation of the project, or
Correct.
a good representation. But for you, what do you feel like on the project right now? Because you probably got some things in the cut that haven't been released. What do you think is the best representation of you? As it's a business card, what song would be that on this project?
You and I.
You and I.
Mm-hmm.
The single.
Yep.
There it is. She's like, I did that on purpose.
Yes,
Just
sir.
to make sure we do that. Now, okay, so you're from Sweden.
Yes.
Is there an adjustment to how music is done out there and how music is done in the U.S., and how have you adjusted to that?
Absolutely. There's a huge difference. In my experience, working over there was cool, but number one, the weather was too cool. Like literally, you weren't in a free, kind of like groovy, cozy zone, because you were always cold or freezing or feeling like, oh, it's so cold. Like, I don't know. I don't even want to get into the negative aspects, but clearly there was a reason why I left.
Right. It's not tropical.
It wasn't tropical at all.
So we wouldn't have the Lady L of today if you were
if I would have stayed. No, not at all.
Got you. Now, for people that are out there trying to pursue music, this platform, we always get a lot of people that are getting into music. What are some of the things that you've learned over the years, whether it be as far as, because one of the things you mentioned was building a team, getting the right team around you.
Yes. Specifically
with the team, what are some lessons that you've learned as far as selecting the right people? Because I know that's, like you said, that's very important. So how do you filter out for you who are the right people that you have around in your circle and that can help, uplift what you got going on?
You said I'm sorry, what's the exact question? Who are the people in my team, or how did I find them?
How did you find them? How do you filter out the right people? Because I'm imagining from the beginning of the process of you starting music to now, there's different people that's been involved, people that probably got cut out, people that are being brought in. So how do you filter who the right people are a part of your team?
I think it has to be a mutual type of level of respect or passion about the project. And then you have to just look at yourself like, this is this dope artist or producer that I want to work with. Am I on his or her level? And if not, how do I get to that level so that I can approach him or her to work with me? Because if you already know you come in late to sessions, or if you already know like you're not really doing your vocal exercises or whatever, then maybe you shouldn't go contact Scott Storch or whoever, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But if you're trying to work with big people, then you have to get to their level so that you can actually, be a value of their time when they put it in. So definitely bring up your levels all the way around. Gotcha. And try to stew to what it is that they're known for. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then also, trial and error. Like I've worked, like all the people I've ever worked with, I still got love for them, but maybe not all of them were able or willing to grow in the same direction I was. And then, life happens. Like sometimes things come in between. Like maybe you have a family, maybe finances aren't what they're supposed to be. Like there can be challenges. But if you have a genuine friendship from the beginning, I think that you can always circle back and work again in the future. However, you just got to know that the level you want to go to, who can get you there. And if you're not on their level, how do you get to their level so you can go where you want to go?
Now, how do you balance motherhood with the livelihood of being an artist as well? Because I know that's a full-time job in itself.
Yes.
So how do you do something that's pursue your passion, but at the same time, motherhood is a livelihood as well, and that's something that you're very passionate about as well.
Right.
So how do you deal with that?
I have had all kinds of crazy experiences. I mean, I can go into details. You crack me up. But like, I literally would go to IKEA and put the kids in the child watch for 2 hours just so I could send emails to the producers that I was working with. You got to do what you got to do. You got to find pockets throughout your day where you can remain that steady, consistent pace of pushing your project or your song or whatever it is you're working on. You know,
you just gave people a bar. I don't think you realize it. IKEA is a good babysitting zone if you don't know.
Oh, they're more than YMCA.
Yeah, just throw them over there and make sure they take care of being busy.
Yeah.
Now, for as far as the music, this project, first of all, what's the name of the album?
After 8.
After 8. What's the inspiration behind the project? And then actually, let's go with the name. After 8. What is that about?
After 8 came about because, number one, to your point of motherhood, my project was always worked on after 8. All my sessions were always scheduled after 8. All the meetings were always like, I can meet you anytime after 8.
After 8 o'clock.
So that was naturally the beginning of the name. And then secondly, the main producer that sort of mentored me through the whole project, who produced songs on it, but also helped co-write and just form the direction of it, his name is Brian Kennedy, and his birthday is 8/8. So he's the epitome of 8. So it's kind of like, this is how Lady L sounds after 8 got done with me. You know what I mean?
Out of here.
So musically, he massaged the project into where it is today.
That's amazing. Shout out to Brian Kennedy, dude.
Yes, that's big up.
Yeah, that's crazy. I'm a firm believer in numbers and how things sync up. And you were talking about frequencies, all of that. So it's no coincidence. Everything works out the way it is.
Yep.
Now, I always like to ask this because, again, speaking of that, me and Pete talk about this all the time too, as far as manifesting. What's one thing the year can't end without Lady L doing what?
It already happened right now today. I'm here at iHeartMedia. I'm being interviewed by you, and I had an interview earlier with Big Boy, and both of y'all love my music. So we done already. 2019 is locked.
You set it all in. Okay, I love that. I love your energy. I love your style. I love how tropical things are, and I love the vibrations that you are bringing to this industry. I want you to keep on going, keep doing your thing, and I appreciate you even just sitting down, taking the time.
Thank you. It was a pleasure being here. Thank you for taking your time to interview me as a new artist on your platform. It's such an honor. Trust me, I've really, really enjoyed looking up your stuff and seeing everything and everybody you put on from the beginning and how you worked your way in your own right to where you are in here today, interviewing artists. So congratulations on your journey as well.
Thank you. Tropical L.
Yeah.
All right. Lady L in the building. Get familiar. You will know her. She will be a household name. We speaking that into existence.
Amen.
It's Homegrown Radio. Chuck Dizzle. Lady L.
What's up?